Hey everybody, Mike Burkholder, Contra Costa. Today I've got Doug Henry of D&K Automotive who has some fantastic news for Saturday. You're having your grand reopening.
Yes, we are.
It's been a long time coming. For those that don't know, back in June of last year, I actually shot a live stream of his business on fire, which really sad, and you have an interesting story to tell about that, of where you actually saw it.
Well, yeah, at that time, my family and I were in Boston, kind of doing a nation's history vacation, visiting Washington, D.C., New York. And we were in Boston that day, so when in Boston, absolutely we have to catch a Red Sox game. And sitting in Fenway Park, a friend of mine instructed me to go to East County today. And when I did, that's when I found out that, well, quite frankly, my business of, at that time, 18 years was up in smoke. So kind of surreal feeling at that time.
Yeah, and I feel really bad about that, but you know, the information does have to flow. But here we are, almost 9-10 months later, you get to reopen to a brand new inside.
Well, yeah, it's been a, silver lining, I guess. It's been a long, it will be 10 months, and it's been hard, a lot of ups and downs. You think you prepare for these kind of things, but I don't think you ever really are. Luckily, I have surrounded myself by a great group of people. My general manager was there within 10 minutes after the fire started, getting a hold of me, handling everything for me while I wasn't there. My insurance agent, Hoffman, Discovery Bay Insurance, he actually came down, gave me a call, assured me to stay on vacation. I couldn't go back. This was, my boys will be graduating this year, so that I couldn't redo this vacation. So he ensured me to stay there. They had everything handled. So with that great group of people, I managed to make the best out of that vacation and got the ball rolling on rebuilding.
And you said something, I know we were offline talking about this, and Glenn Hoffman, and you actually meant 3 or 4 months prior to the fire to upgrade or change your insurance. And I guess the lesson here is learn what options are available to you for your business.
Absolutely. Thankfully, I had a good long conversation with him in March. And he looked at my business and the growth that we have had, and looked at the policies that I had rolled over from another agent several times, and things like that don't happen, so it was fine. But after a long conversation with him, he came back with me and said, your insurance premium needs to double, which is a hard pill to swallow. But luckily, thankfully, I took his advice and got the proper insurance. And quite frankly, that insurance has allowed me to hang on to my employees, pay my bills as we got through this, and is one of the main reasons why we're able to come back to serving our community April 2nd.
And so here you are 19 years later, and go back to 19 years ago. How did you get into the business, and why did you get into the business?
Well, cars have always been a passion. Even when I was younger, I was taking things apart. I always knew I wanted to be an auto mechanic growing up. So after high school, I went to a tech school, went to work at a dealership, and after 7 years in that dealership, I felt like I was working very hard, and I felt like I could provide better customer service on my own than what I was seeing going on there.
Sure.
And I always like to be in my control of my own destiny as much as I can. So being born and raised in Antioch, I called my wife one day and said, I quit my job, this is what we're going to do.
How'd that go?
Well, honestly, we were in the middle of a little infertility treatment that obviously worked out with a family on vacation. And so it didn't go over quite so well. I assured her that I could make this work and it would be better. And So started working out of my garage, and then when cars got too plentiful around for my surrounding neighbors, took the plunge, signed a big lease in the building, and opened the doors and waited for the phone to ring.
And how'd that work out?
Well,
I'm always curious how people grow. You know, they start small, then they go get an office or a shop, and then you think the phone's going to ring off right off the start. But how did that first few months go, and then build that following? How'd you do that?
well, I always like to recite a Mark Twain quote. The keys to success is ignorance and confidence.
Sure.
So I had a lot of both. So persistence. And again, I was surrounded by a lot of good people. Growing up in the area, I had a lot of friends who supported me, who helped me spread the word about what we were doing. And honestly, it was a lot of long hours, a lot of sacrifice. But once we got that ball rolling, I wasn't afraid to expand each time. I never settled in. Allotted profits to go back into the business and continue it to grow, and still have that perspective today. So 1 employee turned into 2 employees, 3 employees. We were looking to expand. We spent 10 years at another location and was looking to expand. And then when the recession hit 08, 09, some buildings became vacant.
Sure.
And I, again, ignorance or confidence, I don't know which one was leading the way, but I felt like with the recession, some competitors were going to not be there in a few years, and I was determined that I was going to be one that was there. And I needed to be ready for that growth when it came back. So we expanded in 2009 to our current location, more than doubled in size. And then, again, a lot of perseverance and surrounding myself with good people to help go along the way.
Yeah, what I like about your location too is your sign placement. It's a really, it's a really eye-catchy sign. So every time I pass it, I just always see it. And so,
and again, no marketing major here, no years of experience in analytics to track that. So I went to Randy, Fast Signs, and said, I need people to see me when they drive by. Left it in his hands, and he's done me well along the way.
Yeah, it's so much different than other businesses on that street. It's just, you have to notice it.
Well, that's the whole idea of the sign. So glad to hear it's working.
Yeah, and so, here we are again, 10 months later. You're set to reopen Saturday with a nice celebration. I believe the Chamber of Commerce will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about customer loyalty and how, because I know you're very appreciative of your customers that are coming back. You have like 70-something appointments already booked.
Yes.
What does it mean to you that customers are just kind of waiting for you?
Well, it's been an emotional roller coaster, I'll admit. So with the progress kind of going slow in the beginning, getting funds allocated for the rebuild, I did have some fears about being gone so long, especially at that time. It was an indefinite time of until we'd be open. I did have some worries. People need to maintain their cars.
Sure.
And we've been teaching them and educating how important that maintenance is. So they were going to have to continue that even when we weren't around. So I did have some fears of that. Here recently, as we've ramped up our email notifications, Facebooking events, getting in touch with them, letting them know that we're going to be open soon, we have got a ton of feedback from them. We've been waiting for you. We have so much we need you to do. Can't wait for you to be open. And it's very gratifying, satisfying to know that we strived hard to take care of them before this fire and give them the best customer service, give them the best advice on maintaining their cars. And now I feel like, that they've been listening, that they appreciated that. And I so much appreciate them for sticking with us. So, Yes, we're going to have a very busy April, I feel, catching back up with all of our customers.
Sure.
So again, the community coming together, from local police, who were the first responders there, to fire doing their best in saving the building, giving me something to rebuild, to my customers and just people in general around the community have really shown how much they appreciate us and respect us, and it's a good warm feeling that all of that work is been noticed.
So for the car illiterate out there, I mean, what's some of the best advice you could give on keeping a car running?
Well, I like to give the analogy of us being your family doctor. The normal services, oil changes, inspections, those are very critical. Most of the time, that's all they are. But when we get to see your car every 5,000 miles, 7,000 miles, depending on type of car, type of oil, and your services, we know the pattern failures of your type of vehicle. So we kind of know what to look for and head it off early.
Sure.
Preventative has been a slogan in the automotive world forever, but it's because it is so true. So letting us get our eyes on it, knowing the pattern failures, following the manufacturer's recommendations for those fluid services, tune-ups, that kind of thing, is very cost effective. Oil leaks obviously need to be fixed, but that oil can damage a lot of other things. Motor mounts put stress on things that normally don't get the stress. So when we can see those things happening, not only are there cost savings in the repairs, but we take it very personal when your car comes in on a tow truck. They do a great job, but we don't really care to see them. So our job is to keep you off of that.
And that's not my car on a tow truck, by the way.
No. But much less the cost of missing that day of work, being on the way to an airport, bringing some friends to an airport, the inconveniences that have some financial consequences all go along with that. So letting us do the minor services, keep an eye on your car, and the preventative is very cost effective.
How's technology changed the whole car repair industry? And because before it's like you could replace a part, done. Now you've got computers and sensors, and how's that all changed?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. Cars are much better than they were 5 years ago, and even more better as you go back. So the technology has made them more dependable, more reliable. And of course, the features that they have that we kind of take for granted now, those are all benefits from that technology. The other side of it is the equipment it takes to talk to your car, to repair your car, is very expensive. That cost, of course, gets passed down to the consumer. The training that we do, we have ongoing, there's never an end to our training. Our training obviously has an expense to it, from technicians being away to the cost of the schooling. So the cost of auto repair has increased because of it.
Sure.
And also, with the electronics, there's no fixing the electronics. We'll just say, some of these cars have 20, 30 computers on them. Mm-hmm. So when one goes bad or a component goes bad, those components are getting more expensive. So that's the downside of it. A lot of positives with anything with technology. It kind of makes the cost a little out of reach.
So buy a new car. I'm just kidding.
Well, you know, it's funny. I do hear that a lot. And a lot of costs going. You know, we'll get a repair that's $1,500, $2,000, and someone says, well, I'm just going to go buy a new car. I point out the tax you're going to pay on that car is going to be about $2,500. And what do you get for that?
Sure.
Absolutely nothing. The registration, the cost, the insurance. So there is a lot, there is a time, no
Sure.
doubt, there is a time when you do need to replace that car. But if you break it down, the cost of a new car is usually much more than maintaining your old. And I also like to point out that new cars have warranties because they break down too.
Sure.
So you're not getting away from necessarily those breakdowns.
Or recalls, as seen on
recalls.
Wilbur.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So what's now I'm gonna get kind of car nerdy on you, but what are some of your favorite cars that you've worked on or like to work on,
Well,
or even your dream car?
I've always liked the industry because I like the challenge. You know, with the electronics, it gets very challenging. So that's very intriguing. So I like that. I don't know that there's one make of car, style of car that I like over the other. The way we look at cars, you know, they don't have skin on them. They're all a piece of machinery. They're mechanical, driven by electrical. And so the make and model kind of doesn't matter to us. The enjoyable ones are really from the customers who partake in that preventive measures. Someone who's neglected their car and we go in to fix this one item that is absolutely broken, sometimes those dominoes start falling after that. And that can get not only frustrating, but we hate going back to the customer and say, well, you know, all these things that have been neglected all this time, this was the first one to fall, and now they're all falling.
Sure.
So those are the ones I'd say are least favorite to work on.
Sure.
The ones that are maintained, most things work like they're supposed to. When we talk to the computers, we know we can make assumptions that other things are working correctly. So those are the most enjoyable because we get to get right to the root of the problem.
Perfect. So before we wrap up, why don't you give another plug about your business, where it's located, some of your services that you provide, and just give one last shout out.
Well, we're at 712 East 18th in Antioch. Nearest cross is Hillcrest. Been in business 19 years. We're not any specific. Like I said, once you get underneath the badges of the car, they kind of all look the same. So from oil changes to the hardest computer diagnostic, struts, brakes, we tackle anything. We don't paint cars. It's easy to say we don't paint cars, but just about everything else. Great group of guys, highly trained, friendly. We look to please you. March 31st, we called our re-grand opening celebration. At 11 o'clock, we're going to start with raffles. We have a clown, face painting, taco truck there to feed everybody.
Nice.
12 to 2, we have a car care clinic going on in the back. RepairPal.com is putting on a car care clinic. Going to go over the basics of maintenance on your car. Ribbon cutting at 11:30. We're going to wrap it up at 3 with a raffle for a TV. So we're giving away a 50-inch LED smart TV. To enter into that drawing, coming down Saturday, make an appointment for service for the following week or a week after. Just make an appointment for service. You'll be entered into a raffle for that TV. And we'll have a drawing the following Tuesday and let you know who's the lucky person to walk away with a TV and an oil change maybe.
Very nice. So those of you that are running in the bunny hop, go down to D&K and get some tacos, feed you after that run and walk.
Absolutely.
And then make sure you book appointments because they do great work. And I'm Mike Burkholder. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And see you guys on Saturday. Please like, subscribe, follow. We'll see you next time. Take care.